More than 100,000 years ago, long before cities, machines, and written history, Earth entered a phase that tested the limits of life itself. The planet did not freeze overnight. Instead, cold crept in slowly, tightening its grip generation after generation, until ice became the dominant architect of the world. Massive glaciers expanded from the poles, carving valleys, flattening landscapes, and locking away enormous volumes of water. Winds grew harsher, seasons more unforgiving, and survival more uncertain. This period, known to us as the last ice age, was not merely a backdrop of snow and ice, but a powerful force that reshaped life on Earth in ways we are still uncovering today. The Ice Age was not a single, unbroken winter. It was a long and complex chapter in Earth's climate history, marked by fluctuations between colder and slightly warmer periods. Over tens of thousands of years, ice sheets advanced and retreated, responding to subtle changes in Earth's orbit and the amount of sunlight reaching the surface. When winters were cold and summers too weak to melt the snow, ice accumulated. Year after year, layer upon layer, glaciers thickened and spread across continents. Once established, these vast sheets of ice reflected sunlight back into space, reinforcing the cold and stabilizing the frozen conditions. Despite how extreme this world may sound, the average global temperature during the height of the last glacial period was only a few degrees lower than it is today. Yet this small difference carried enormous consequences. A global temperature drop of just a few degrees meant that vast amounts of heat were removed from the oceans, the land, and the atmosphere combined. Sea levels fell dramatically as water became trapped in ice, exposing land bridges that connected distant continents. Regions that are now separated by oceans were once open pathways, allowing animals and early humans to migrate across the planet. The landscapes of this frozen world were stark and beautiful in their own way. Much of the land was dominated by tundra and dry grasslands, where only the hardiest plants could survive. Forests retreated southward, replaced by open plains swept by icy winds. In these environments, life did not disappear. Instead, it adapted in extraordinary ways. Animals evolved bodies designed to conserve heat, endure scarcity, and withstand extreme cold. Thick fur, dense undercoats, and heavy layers of fat became common features among mammals. Shorter limbs and compact bodies reduced heat loss, while changes in behavior allowed species to cope with long winters and limited food supplies. This era gave rise to some of the most iconic creatures ever to walk the earth. Enormous herbivores roamed the plains, grazing on tough grasses that thrived in cold, dry conditions. These animals were not simply larger versions of modern species, they were specialists, shaped by the pressures of their environment. Their size helped them retain heat and survive periods of starvation, while their social structures may have offered protection against predators and harsh weather. They played a crucial role in shaping their ecosystems, influencing vegetation patterns, and supporting a complex web of life. Predators evolved alongside these giants, becoming powerful and efficient hunters. Large carnivores with strong jaws, sharp claws, and muscular bodies stalked the frozen landscapes. Survival for these hunters depended on careful energy management. Every hunt carried risk, and failure could mean starvation. Some predators may have hunted alone, relying on stealth and strength, while others likely worked in groups, coordinating their movements to bring down prey far larger than themselves. This delicate balance between predator and prey maintained ecosystems that were both resilient and fragile, capable of enduring harsh conditions, yet vulnerable to sudden change. Not all Ice Age animals relied on speed or size alone. Some developed extraordinary defenses, encasing their bodies in thick armor made of bone. These creatures moved slowly but steadily, protected from most predators by their natural shields. For a long time, They were thought to be clumsy and passive, but fossil evidence tells a different story. Strong limbs and reinforced skeletons suggest they were capable of surprising agility and strength, able to defend themselves when threatened. In a world filled with danger, protection could be just as valuable as speed. Other inhabitants of this frozen age adopted entirely different strategies. Massive ground-dwelling mammals excavated extensive underground shelters, digging deep into the earth. These burrows provided stable environments, shielding them from temperature extremes and predators alike. Fossilized tunnels preserved for tens of thousands of years reveal claw marks and structural features that speak to the intelligence and adaptability of their builders. These underground refuges remind us that survival during the Ice Age required not only physical strength, but also behavioral innovation. As thousands of years passed, the climate began to change once more. Gradual warming marked the transition toward a more temperate world. Ice sheets slowly retreated, releasing vast quantities of water back into the oceans. Sea levels rose, submerging land bridges and isolating populations that had once been connected. Vegetation zones shifted rapidly, with forests expanding into areas that had long been dominated by tundra. For many species, these changes happened faster than evolution could keep up. It was during this time of transition that humans became an increasingly influential presence. Having evolved earlier, humans spread across the globe and learned to survive in a wide range of environments. They developed tools, clothing, and social structures that allowed them to adapt where other species struggled. Cooperative behavior gave them a significant advantage. Groups could hunt together, share resources, and pass knowledge from one generation to the next. These abilities allowed humans to thrive in a world that was still shaped by ice and cold. As humans expanded into new territories, they encountered the great animals of the Ice Age. Archaeological evidence from many regions suggests a striking pattern. The arrival of humans often coincided with the decline of large-bodied animals. While climate change placed enormous stress on ecosystems, human hunting pressure may have pushed vulnerable species beyond recovery. Large mammals reproduce slowly, and even small increases in mortality can have devastating effects over time. Once populations fell below a critical level, extinction became inevitable. The disappearance of these animals was not sudden or uniform. Some populations survived longer in isolated regions, protected from both rapid environmental change and intense human activity. These final refuges provide valuable insight into resilience and adaptation. Yet even these last survivors eventually vanished, leaving behind bones, footprints, and tools preserved in ice and sediment. Their absence reshaped ecosystems, altering vegetation patterns and nutrient cycles in ways that are still felt today. Humans themselves were not untouched by these changes. During the Ice Age, multiple human species existed, adapted to different environments and lifestyles. Some were well suited to cold climates, with stocky bodies and physiological traits that helped them conserve heat. They created tools, practiced burial rituals, and expressed themselves through art. Evidence suggests that different human groups interacted in complex ways, sometimes competing, sometimes coexisting, and sometimes interbreeding. Over time, only one lineage remained widespread, while others faded into history. By the time the ice had largely retreated, Earth had entered a new phase. The loss of many large animals transformed landscapes and ecosystems, and humans emerged as a dominant force on the planet. The world that followed was shaped not only by natural processes, but increasingly by human decisions and actions. The Ice Age had ended, but its legacy was deeply embedded in the planet's geography, climate, and biology. The story of the Ice Age is more than a tale of cold and extinction. It is a lesson in balance and vulnerability. It shows how small changes in global temperature can trigger massive transformations, reshaping continents and determining the fate of entire species. It highlights the resilience of life, capable of adapting to extreme conditions, and also its fragility when faced with rapid and compounded pressures. It reminds us that survival has never been guaranteed, and that dominance in one era does not ensure survival in the next. Even today, the echoes of the Ice Age surround us. Glacial scars mark mountain ranges, ancient shorelines trace the outlines of former seas, and fossils tell stories of creatures that once ruled the land. These remnants are not merely relics of the past, they are warnings and lessons, showing how closely climate, life, and survival are intertwined. As we look toward the future, the Ice Age reminds us that Earth is always changing, and that the choices made by living beings can shape the destiny of the planet itself.